hope we have a translator for Australian, and unfortunately if my voice goes back to my original. But I'll try and speak as slowly and coherently as I can. I'm giving this presentation on behalf of my colleague, Amrish Pokhir, on a project that the Internet Society is conducting on the economic benefits of peering. This work builds on our long-standing work in developing sustainable peering throughout the world, as well as the data-driven insights and analysis project that we've been running since 2020. And the outward-facing product of that work is the Pulse website, which curates open-source data from various sources to examine internet trends and tell data-driven stories. And one of the themes that we track, that's not always good when your presentation goes in front of you. One of the themes that we track as part of the measurement initiative is the resilience of peering ecosystem, locally, regionally, and globally. This community knows all too well the importance of internet exchange points and how critical they are for modern internet infrastructure, enabling direct traffic exchange between networks and reducing reliance on costly translink links. Perhaps more critical than ever, given the growing demand for bandwidth to support over-the-top content. Against this backdrop, ISPs and content providers are re-evaluating their peering strategies. Like all investments, economic factors heavily influence these decisions, but market structures and incentives also play a key role. When we talk about peering benefits, we look at two broad categories, the economic and non-economic. Economic benefits are the cost savings ISPs enjoy when exchanging traffic locally rather than using international transit. And non-economic benefits include improved network performance, lower latency, better resilience, and increased redundancy. Peering doesn't only reduce cost, it also improves user experience. By exchanging traffic locally, we know that networks reduce latency and jitter, which is especially important for applications like gaming, streaming, video conferencing. It also makes the internet more resilient by creating multiple paths and avoiding over-dependencies on upstream providers. The network benefits can be quantified using a set of metrics as shown on this slide, and they can all be measured more or less accurately. So to systematically capture these developments, we've developed and expanded on the Pulse IXP tracker. In its upcoming iteration, the tracker provides visibility into where IXPs are located, their growth, and their role in the wider ecosystem. This tool helps policymakers, operators, and researchers see the progress and gaps in peering across countries. On the economic side, the most immediate advantage of peering is cost savings. We touched on that. Instead of paying high transit fees, ISPs can exchange traffic locally as a fraction of the cost. But beyond short-term savings, peering contributes to the long-term health of the internet economy by making broadband more affordable and stimulating local infrastructure investment. Our analysis looks at two metrics, the direct financial benefit of peering compared to transit and the longer-term economic impact IXPs can have on local ecosystems. To study these, we use datasets on pricing, affordability, penetration, and infrastructure development. So our first research question is, what are the economic benefits of peering? We want to quantify cost savings by comparing both peering costs and transit costs. This helps ISPs assess whether peering makes sense, not only financially, but also strategically. To quantify these benefits, we bring together data from multiple sources, some of people who have also presented here today. So we're bringing IP transit costs from telegeography. We got network data such as traffic volumes, bandwidth, and market share from ITU and Packet Clearinghouse. Peering costs from peering.exposed. And combining these lets us build an econometric model of peering benefits. We compute unit savings by comparing peering costs to IP transit costs. Then we regress these savings against traffic levels, capacity, and market shares to predict cost savings for different countries and time periods. This gives us a data-driven way to estimate peering benefits. To measure the economic benefits, we compare peering costs with IP transit costs. So we calculate the unit savings by subtracting transit costs from peering costs for the same number of traffic exchanges at the same port size. So if the unit saving is more than 0, then the peering is cheaper than IP transit, and if saving is less than 0, then peering is more expensive. When we use regression models to predict savings, factoring in peering traffic, bandwidth capacity, and broadband market share, that comes from ITU and Packet Clearinghouse data. This approach helps us estimate the financial impact of peering at scale. These are all a bit cut down, aren't they? Is there any way to put the slides up? They might be on the right way. No, that's not mine. Yeah, scroll down. No, you got to scroll back down to that one. It was. No. Oh, up. Sorry. Keep going up. Keep going up. To the bar chart. Keep going. That one. There we go. Now we're on it. Our analysis reveals that while the cost gap between peering and transit has narrowed, peering remains cheaper. Interestingly, these savings aren't solely due to lower peering costs or higher transit prices. They're influenced by broader market dynamics. Notably, savings correlate with lower broadband prices, expanded coverage, and higher revenues, especially in less regulated markets. In some markets, transit and peering costs are the same, which shows how competitive these markets have become. Network operators in these markets peer at IXPs not for cost savings, but for other benefits, such as lower latency to high-value services. Again, oh yeah, can we, it's just not scrolling all the way. Yep, so, no, back to that last slide, but you're cutting out the bottom part of it. No, back up, back up, back up. Keep going. There you go. Back down, just a little bit. Yeah. Back up. Back up. Back up. Anyway, we'll keep going. We found that unit savings, there we go, that's looking good. We found that unit savings are not solely driven by lower peering costs, we mentioned that. Instead, cost savings are strongly linked with outcomes like the lower broadband prices. So on this graph, we're looking at broadband prices is in blue, fixed line broadband costs is in red, so it's slightly negative. Some evidence of lower fixed line broadband costs, but effective is smaller. The mobile coverage is green, it's positive, so more savings linked to wider mobile network coverage. Telecom revenues yellow, positive, so ISP operators earn more revenue as savings increase. And the ARPU is purple, so it's slightly negative. Average revenue per user may decline through uncertainty overlaps. Anyway, now we look at how these variables vary in different market types, controlled and liberal. For mixed broadband, increase in cost savings from peering lowers fixed broadband prices for moderate and liberal markets. For network coverage, moderate markets have the greatest impact for mobile coverage, thanks to cost savings in peering. And interestingly, moderate markets produce higher telecom revenue than liberal markets, with most cost savings from peering. This could be because in a liberal market, generally competition is already quite high, and therefore there is no real cost saving in peering. So we looked at three of these countries, the moderate and liberal and controlled, and we chose Indonesia, India and South Africa. And we plotted the aims to show how peering reduced costs over time, highlighting the regional differences. So in, say, India, the top left, in 2018 savings were about $15 a megabyte per second a month. And over the years, there's been a gradual but steady decline in cost savings. By 25, it was around 7 to 8 megabytes per second a month. So transit prices have fallen in India. The relative cost advantage of peering has diminished. We look at Indonesia, 2018, 55 megabits per second a month. By 2025, that's got to around 10 megabits per second a month. Initially, peering provided huge cost benefits in Indonesia, but over time, the gap between transit and peering prices narrowed significantly. Still, peering remains somewhat more beneficial here than in India and South Africa. And in South Africa, we started off at 10 megabits per second a month in 2018. And then from 22 onwards, peering savings are negligible, close to $0. So South Africa, the economic benefits of peering has nearly disappeared, likely because transit prices have dropped so significantly, showing signs of highly mature market. With more IXPs, there are generally more cost savings on average. However, India and Indonesia, these are not very apparent and even show a slight decline in cost savings, which may be due to India and Indonesia being more controlled markets, over protectionism, incumbent operators, etc. Go back one. There we go. South Africa is a good case of a thriving peering ecosystem within a liberal market. This allows for a greater competition and reduced reliance on transit, and peering has become more prominent. In terms of fixed broadband costs, while the costs of broadband reduced with more savings in Indonesia and South Africa, they have increased in India. And average return per user in India and South Africa, this has increased with savings, but not in Indonesia. The impact on ISPs that we're looking at, its peering cost savings were also linked to expanded mobile networks coverage and higher overall telecommunications revenue for ISPs. However, revenue per user did show a significant increase. So where do we go from here with this research? Or where does Amrish and Anirudh go with this research? We plan to expand our analysis to markets like Brazil, to refine our econometric model to control more external factors, such as gross domestic product, and investigate how the timing of IXP deployments affects savings as well. By exploring these dimensions, we can better understand the scalability of long-term impacts of IXPs. To conclude, peering brings both economic and non-economic benefits that extend well beyond simple cost savings. By lowering costs, improving performance and strengthening resilience, IXPs play a critical role in shaping the internet's growth. If you want to know more, follow this work, subscribe to our newsletter, our monthly newsletter, or get in contact with us at pulse@isoc.org. Thank you and merci.